Rise and shine, everyone, welcome to a special broadcast you simply cannot miss. We are live on air, tracking a developing story that has absolutely set the internet on fire, stunned the tennis universe, and turned a major international airport into a scene of total chaos. If you have been glued to your phone for the past 6 hours, you know exactly what I am talking about. You have seen the clips. You have witnessed the crushing crowds and the raw, unfiltered passion that is currently sweeping across the Middle East. The headline flashing on your screen is no exaggeration. It is not clickbait. It is the absolute reality on the ground right now. We are calling it the ZIA shock, a moment of viral intensity that turned a routine flight departure into a historic national spectacle. Alex Eala, the tennis phenomenon from the Philippines and the pride of Southeast Asia, has just left Abu Dhabi for Qatar. And folks, the scenes at that terminal are unlike anything we have witnessed for a tennis player in recent history. Let me paint the picture for you. For the last 7 days, Abu Dhabi transformed into the beating heart of Asian tennis. The Mubadala Abu Dhabi Open was not just another tournament. It morphed into a full-blown pilgrimage. Thousands of Filipino expats, die-hard fans, and curious onlookers flooded the Zayed Sports City International Tennis Center, making every single Eala match feel like a deafening home game. We watched miracles unfold on that clay. We saw comeback victories that completely defied the laws of probability. We cheered for a doubles partnership with Indonesia's Janice Tien, dubbed the SEA Sisters, that captured the hearts of the entire region. But the madness that erupted today, just hours ago at the airport, signifies something far bigger than a simple game of tennis. When Eala pulled up to the terminal to catch her flight to Doha for the prestigious Qatar Open, the situation went from calm to crazy in seconds. Sources on the ground tell us airport security was momentarily overwhelmed by the sheer mass of fans desperate for one last glimpse of the 19-year-old superstar. We are talking about an ocean of smartphones, waving flags, and handmade banners. The videos circulating online, which are currently trending at #1 in the Philippines, Qatar, and the UAE, show a level of stardom usually reserved for K-pop idols or Hollywood royalty. Remember, this is a tennis player ranked outside the top 40, generating the kind of hysteria that world #1s only dream of. So, why is this happening? Why is the entire airport in a state of shock? Because Alex is no longer just an athlete. She has crossed the threshold into becoming a bona fide cultural icon. The shock is not just about the crowd size. It is about the intensity. It is the realization that Asian tennis has found its new face. This trip to Qatar is not just a travel itinerary. It is a bold statement. Eala is headed to Doha for a WTA 1000 event, a massive leap in competition, and she is riding the momentum of a historic week in Abu Dhabi. In this broadcast, we are going to break down exactly what happened over the last few days that triggered this viral explosion. We will discuss the miracle in Abu Dhabi, her jaw-dropping victory over Alexandra Sasnovich, where she practically rose from the dead to snatch a win she had no business taking. We will analyze the heartbreak of the quarterfinals against Ekaterina Alexandrova. But make no mistake, despite the loss, Eala's stock has never been higher. We will dissect the doubles run that proved her lethal versatility, and crucially, we will look to the horizon. Qatar. What is waiting for her in Doha? Can she replicate this magic on an even grander stage? But first, we must grasp the magnitude of what we are seeing at the airport today. This viral moment is the culmination of years of grinding, struggling, and carrying the burden of expectation. When you hear those fans screaming her name at the departure gate, you are hearing a release of pure national pride. The Philippines has been starving for a global tennis superstar for decades. They have had champions in boxing, in billiards, in weightlifting. But tennis? Tennis is a global theater, and seeing a Filipina stand toe-to-toe with the giants of the sport in the heart of the Middle East has struck a nerve. The Zayed Airport headlines you are seeing are capturing a specific moment in time where sport transcends the scoreboard. It is about more than points. The shock is real. The viral nature of this departure is a testament to her impact. She is not just leaving a country. She is carrying a legion of supporters with her to the next battlefield. So, strap yourselves in. Over the next hour, we are going deep. We are going to analyze every serve, every volley, every quote, and every viral clip. We are going to explain why this specific departure to Qatar is the tipping point in Alexandra Eala's career. This is not just news, this is history in the making. The world is watching, the airport is buzzing, and Alex Eala is on the move. Stay right there. This is the deep dive you have been waiting for. Let's transition now into the heart of this story. To understand the chaos at the airport today, to understand why security lines were backed up and why social media is in a meltdown, we have to rewind the clock. We have to look at the last 120 hours in Abu Dhabi. This wasn't just a tournament, it was a crucible. The narrative began the moment Eala touched down in the UAE. The Middle East hosts a massive diaspora of Filipino expatriates, the backbone of the region's workforce. To them, Alex is more than a sports figure. She is a shining beacon of world-class talent exported straight from their roots. When she takes the court in the Emirates, geographical borders dissolve. She isn't playing abroad, she is competing amongst kin. Promoters for the Mubadala Abu Dhabi Open recognize this pulse. They booked her for the center stage, not for her ranking but for her magnetic charisma, and she absolutely delivered. We need to dissect the spark that ignited the inferno. That round of 16 brawl against Alexandra Sasnovich. If you haven't watched that tape, you've missed the year's rawest definition of resilience. Sasnovich is battle-hardened. She is a veteran who drives the ball with punishing, flat velocity. Statistically, the odds were hers. Early on, reality matched the prediction. Alex looked out of her depth, spraying shots wide. Nerves were visible. The colossal audience, aching to roar, was suffocated by the one-sided traffic. First set dropped, 2-6, trailing in the second. Shoulders slumped. It looked terminal. Then, the atmosphere shifted. Analysts love to throw around the X-Factor cliché, but in this arena, the catalyst was undeniably the mob in the stands. The chants of her name evolved no longer just cheering, but demanding a fight, and she absorbed that fury. Her racket speed increased. She painted the lines. She snatched the second frame, 6-4. Enter the third set, the crucible. Legend status is earned here. Once again, she fell behind, broken early. The abyss stared back. With Sasnovich serving for the kill, the stadium air grew heavy, a moment now immortalized online. Silence hung thick enough to cut, shattered instantly by thunderous applause with every point Alex claimed. She leveled the score, forced the breaker. Then, she unleashed absolute courage. When the final return drifted long, the stands didn't just vibrate, they detonated. That was the flashpoint. Securing a quarterfinal berth was massive, but more importantly, it electrified the entire community. Her performance screamed a promise to every spectator. I bleed for you. That spirit is precisely why the terminal was packed today. They didn't gather for a mere participant. They swarmed to salute the warrior who stared down oblivion and refused to blink. But the narrative has layers. We cannot ignore the doubles saga. This chapter is vital, highlighting her evolution alongside Indonesia's own Janice Jen. A masterstroke of sports diplomacy. Two Southeast Asian giants, the Philippines and Indonesia, locking shields. They rampaged through the bracket, toppling seeded giants to book a spot in the Final Four. Why is this relevant to her Doha departure? It proved she is genuinely loving the game. It showcased her net mastery, her court coverage, and her leadership. The chemistry with Jen was palpable. Their joy high-fives, crowd work acted as a balm, keeping the energy alive even after her singles campaign ended. Now, a reality check. The quarterfinal exit at the hands of Ekaterina Alexandrova needs a sober look. Alexandrova sits in the top 15. She is a shark in deeper waters compared to previous foes. Her pace and accuracy are elite. The scoreboard read 3-6, 3-6, a clean sweep. Yet, the analytics tell a kinder story. Alex wasn't crushed. She held her own in exchanges and forced break chances. The gap lay in the service game and clutch moments, benefits of a decade on tour. Alex is still a teen. Treat this as a masterclass, not a disaster. Remarkably, the fan fervor never dipped. If anything, the love intensified. Which leads us to the tarmac. The hop to Doha is short, but the symbolic jump is massive. The Qatar Total Energies Open is a WTA 1000 tournament. Welcome to the major leagues. This is the playground of titans like Swiatek, Sabalenka, and Gauff. Whether she lands in the main bracket or fights through qualifiers, merely existing in this orbit is huge. That chaotic airport footage? It is the physical weight of hope. Those weren't just farewell waves. They were dispatching a champion to the front lines. They understand Doha is a steeper climb. They know the Sharks are circling. The throngs at ZIA International delivered a unified statement. We stand with you. Dissecting the viral clip, we see her navigating a sea of security with her luggage. Yet she pauses. Markers are signed. Selfies are snapped. Amidst the bedlam, she stays gracious. That is the signature of a true icon. While others might retreat to the lounge, she embraced the madness. She walked right through the front door. That blend of quiet grace and on-court savagery? It is absolute marketing dynamite. Major brands are already circling like sharks. It explains why the WTA social team is practically obsessed with her feed. She is a walking engagement machine. But let's shift our gaze to the horizon. What is the real fallout from this viral exit as she touches down in Qatar? First up, the crushing weight of expectation. The chaos at the airport proves Eala is done flying under the radar. Her rivals in Doha now know exactly who she is, and they know the stadium will be hostile territory. The Eala army doesn't just watch, they mobilize. You can bet your life there will be a massive wave of Filipino supporters flooding the stands in Doha. This completely rewrites the script of a match. That kind of energy can shatter an opponent's nerve, but it also piles a mountain of pressure on Eala to deliver. Point number 2, the rankings game. Right now, she is dancing on the edge of the top 100 to 150 bracket. A deep run at a WTA 1000 event is a goldmine for points. Snatching just 1 or 2 victories in Doha could rocket her into an entirely different stratosphere. We are talking about the golden ticket, direct acceptance into the main draws of Roland Garros and Wimbledon later this season. The chips on the table in Qatar are astronomically high. Then there is the third element, the shifting story of Asian tennis dominance. For a generation, the spotlight was monopolized by icons like Li Na, followed by Japan's Naomi Osaka, and recently Zheng Qinwen. The Philippines never really had a seat at that VIP table. Alex Eala isn't just knocking on the glass ceiling, she is shattering it. The sheer velocity of her viral fame signals that the tennis universe is starving for a fresh face from a new demographic to take the lead. That frenzy at the terminal? That is the roar of a sleeping giant, the Southeast Asian market finally waking up. Now, we need to talk logistics. Insider whispers suggest the ground crew at the international terminal were completely blindsided by the sheer volume of humanity. It highlights just how violently her celebrity stock has risen. You usually see that level of security panic for rock gods or visiting presidents. For a tennis player to demand that degree of riot control in the UAE is simply uncharted territory. It screams that her team and the organizers drastically miscalculated the Eala effect. As she heads to Qatar, guarantee that Hamad International Security is getting a frantic briefing. Prepare for the crush, prepare for the noise, prepare for Alex Eala. Let's peel back the layers and look at the mechanics fueling this hype train. In Abu Dhabi, her serve velocity took a noticeable leap forward. She unleashed a ferocious return game against Sasnovich. Yes, her mental steel was the headline, but that forehand down the line was the lethal dagger. She is striking the ball with serious weight now. Her footwork, sharper, faster, more fluid. However, against Alexandrova, the armor showed a crack. The second serve. It was a sitting duck against elite firepower. That second serve is going to be hunted. If she has tightened up that mechanic in the brief window between Abu Dhabi and Doha, she is ripe for an upset. If not, she is in for a brutal struggle. But honestly, the legion of fans could not care less about serve percentages at this moment. They are addicted to the fight. This shockwave is really about the realization that our little prodigy has grown up. We witnessed her hoist the U.S. Open Junior Trophy. We watched her battle through the grit of the ITF circuit in Spain. We saw her grimace through injuries. And now, she is shutting down airports in the Middle East. It feels less like a travel disruption and more like a graduation ceremony. She has officially transcended from promising junior to tour sensation. Those viral clips are essentially her diploma. As she lands in Qatar, the narrative flips from homecoming to invasion. She is storming the castle of the elite. The Qatar Open takes no prisoners. There are no easy draws. Every woman in that bracket is a stone-cold assassin. But Eala is riding a tsunami of momentum. The adrenaline from that chaotic send-off is surely still coursing through her veins. You have to wonder what is racing through her mind at 30,000 feet. Is she replaying the footage of that mob? Is she scrolling through comments? Or is she locked in, dissecting game tape of her next rival? Knowing Eala, it is definitely the latter. She is a consummate professional, but even she cannot completely tune out the static anymore. The noise is part of the package. This viral event also forces us to confront some hard questions about the duty of media and the fan base. Headlines like "Airport Shocked" hint at a disruption that borders on dangerous. We saw barriers buckling. We heard security screaming. We celebrate the passion, but we are walking a razor's edge here. We want Eala safe. We want her mind on the court, not on crowd survival. The hype is intoxicating, but it must be sustainable. As her star ascends, the access fans have enjoyed will inevitably vanish. This might be the final chapter where she can stroll through a terminal looking even remotely like a normal traveler. From here on out, it is private exits and VIP transfers. Those fans at the airport today witnessed the death of an era and the birth of a dynasty. Let's pivot back to the Qatar angle. That nation has poured billions into building a sports empire. They crave superstars. They demand headlines. Alex Eala arriving with a viral hurricane at her back is a tournament director's dream scenario. Expect her to be front and center on a show court. Expect the primetime slot under the bright lights. The business of tennis boils down to moving tickets. And right now, Alex Eala doesn't just sell seats, she sells hope. Let's be crystal clear about one thing. That frenzy wasn't some random twist of fate. It was the ultimate collision of destiny. A massive legion of overseas workers, a heart-stopping comeback, a magnetic prodigy, and the electrifying pressure of the Middle Eastern circuit. If Abu Dhabi lit the fuse, Qatar is poised to be the detonation. Closing the book on her chaotic exit from the Emirates and looking toward Doha, one undeniable truth hits us right between the eyes. The tectonic plates of Filipino athletics have officially moved. We're done whispering about what-ifs. We are witnessing a kinetic, unstoppable juggernaut. Those snapshots flooding out of ZIA International Airport? That absolute bedlam dominating your timeline isn't just algorithmic noise. It is the raw footage of a country placing all its hope on one pair of shoulders. Eala flies into Qatar carrying more than just a racket bag. She's hauling the aspirations of millions. And let's not kid ourselves, the climb awaiting her in Doha is vertical. The Qatar Open is a gladiator pit teeming with global titans. She could conquer the court, or she could crash out in the opener. That's the cruel roulette of tennis. Yet what she pulled off this past week is a triumph you won't find on any official stat sheet. She stitched a scattered community back together. She forced millions who couldn't tell a forehand from a smash to suddenly care. And while the trending clips will bury themselves and stories vanish after 24 hours, that electricity in the air, that swelling sense of dignity, that isn't going anywhere. We're going to shadow her every move in the peninsula. Is she poised to rattle the globe a second time? Will her loyal battalion hijack the grandstands just like they did in the Emirates? You can bet your bottom dollar they will, but for the moment, wheels are up. The mob has scattered, but the signal they broadcast came through 5 by 5. Alexandra Eala has kicked down the door, and she's dragging every single one of us through it with her. Thanks for riding shotgun on this analysis, and keep your gaze locked on Doha. The sequel is about to start rolling. Good night, and let's make some noise.